Hello and welcome back to One on One, where we take a deeper look at one of the issues affecting the modern game. And today we're looking at Serie A and how it went from the most boring league in Europe to arguably the most exciting. You might be expecting us to say that Italian football was always more interesting than it was given credit for, but frankly, it wasn't. The league's chief export has always been world-class defenders, producing stars like Nesta, Maldini, Panucci, Zambrotta and Cannavaro, and unsurprisingly, that meant that there were genuinely fewer goals scored in Italy than elsewhere. Between 1978 and 1988, only once did the top scorer in Italy hit 20 league goals. By the mid-2000s, goal totals were still at a continental low. In 2004-05, the year which ended with Juve relegated following Calciopoli, and that Milan went to the UCL final, there were 2.53 goals a game in Italy. By comparison, there were 2.57 in the Prem, 2.58 in Spain, and 2.91 in the Bundesliga. Defences were so tight that Bologna were relegated that season despite conceding 36 in 38. And though 18th and 7th place were separated by only 6 points, that wasn't really cause for excitement, so much as an indication of how bad the standard of play was overall. Champions Juve, before they were stripped of the title, were the league's top scorers with 67, while Bayern netted 75 in the Bulli, Barca scored 73 in Spain, and Arsenal managed 87 in the Prem without even winning the division. So it's not hard to see why the league got the reputation for being dull, especially as the Bianconeri's demotion meant that Inter Milan would go on to win the next 5 Scudetti, ending each year an average of 9 points clear of second place. And while strikers did better than in the 80s, even top forwards saw their output blunted in the division. When Luca Toni netted 31 in 2005-06, it was the first time someone had broken the 30 mark in Italy since 1959, and it's only been done once more since, by Higuain in 2015-16. By comparison, it's happened 3 times in England in the last 6 years alone. So how to account for this overall trend? Do Italians just have a higher tolerance for boredom? Well, Italian football has always been defensive. The greatest tactical innovation of the 50s and 60s was Catenaccio, a defensive system which saw a back four man-mark their opponents, with a sweeper mopping up behind the back line. Where was it perfected and popularised? Italy. And when Arrigo Sacchi won consecutive European Cups with Milan in 89 and 90, he did it with a compact defensive unit, often with under 25 metres between the backline and the forwards, a setup which worked due to a pair of superstar attackers in Ruud Gullit and Marco van Basten. But how did this all change? In the late 2000s, defensive football had reached its zenith, with Jose Mourinho at Inter Milan, but across Europe, principles were changing. With the dominance of man-orientated marking, coaches were looking for new ways to disorganise their opponents, and teams began to build from the back, knowing that by adding the goalkeeper to their possession game, they could always outnumber the defending side, whose keeper had to maintain his position. Barcelona football was taking over Europe with an attractive possession-heavy style, and Italy, where flexibility and versatility have always been prized in managers, gradually began to take notice. Bosses like Mancini and Ancelotti had always looked forward, but now Sarri was arriving on the scene, as was Gasperini, whose Genoa side was named by Mourinho as the team which caused his Inter outfit the most problems, with high pressing allowing attacking clubs to take the game to opponents even when they didn't have the ball. While Rafa Benitez faltered in his attempts to continue Mourinho's bus parking ethic at the San Siro, clubs like Fiorentina and Sassuolo took chances on more idealistic tacticians like Vincenzo Montella and Eusebio Di Francesco, who took the Neroverdi to the Europa League against all the odds. But it was Spalletti returning to Roma and Sarri arriving in Naples which changed everything. While Juve continued to bulldoze opponents with a ruthless, steamrolling defence, Napoli and Roma realised they couldn't beat the Bianconeri at their own game, and instead introduced fast combination play, becoming famous for their high-octane offensive style. In 2009-10, the most possession-heavy team, AC Milan, completed 513 passes a game, a tally bettered by 4 teams in 2018-19. And shots saw a similar rise. In 2009-10, just 5 Italian clubs took over 15 a game, and 6 took under 12. By 2019, 8 took over 15 and just 3 fewer than 12. Unsurprisingly, these increases have seen goals per game tick up too, as managers like Mazzarri and Benitez disappeared, peaking in the 2016-17 season, when Serie A matches saw an average of 2.96 goals per game, the most in Europe. That year, 6 teams scored over 70 Serie A goals, with Roma and Napoli netting more than 90, and only Juventus conceded under 1 per match, an almost unheard of event in Italy. Crucially, the Giallorossi and Partenopei finished 2nd and 3rd in 2017, 4 and 5 points off Juve respectively, proving that attacking football could be successful in the division. And Gasperini returned to sum up the change with his lovable Atalanta outfit, turning them from a team which scored just 38 league goals in 2014-15 to scoring 77 in 2018-19. So despite the continued dominance of Juventus, Italy is once again a hotbed of tactical innovation, with some of the most interesting and aggressive sides in Europe playing entertaining, crowd-pleasing football. And with Roberto Mancini as Azzurri boss and Juventus replacing Max Allegri with Maurizio Sarri, the culture change at the top of Italian football is complete. Serie A is not only no longer boring, it's as exciting as the game gets. So that's all we've got time for this week, but let us know what you'd like to see on One next in the comments below. If you enjoyed this episode, check out our previous ones, and of course make sure that you subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell to never miss a video. We'll see you next time.